Um, so for today, we'd like to create a simple Salesforce sales dashboard. Basically, the first thing that we usually do when creating a dashboard is to define the requirements. So for this exercise, I've entered, I guess, four simple requirements. First is that we'd like to create charts and tables, I guess, for showing us the sales by period and sales by owner. Then we'd like some filter functionality that allows us to filter by year, month, and owner. Then later on, we'd like to demonstrate how we can schedule the daily updating of our reference data, and likewise the daily sending of screenshot alerts to our Slack. Okay, so that's part of our automation, reports automation. All right, so when we now create charts, we first would like to fetch data using our coefficient add-on. So I'm going to launch that now. I've already created a import here that we will be using later on, but to demonstrate how we get that data, I'll go to import, then Salesforce, then from objects and fields. Since we're dealing with sales, I'm going to select opportunity. There we go. And the minimum fields that we would like based on our requirements would be the date that the sales or rather the opportunity was closed, the one who closed it, meaning the owner, or I guess I'm just going to get their first name, then the amount closed. There we go. But of course, the user or rather the stakeholder that would be using this dashboard later on may want to see other details like the opportunity ID so that he can immediately link to the Salesforce webpage for that particular opportunity, and likewise the opportunity name. So let's include that as well. I'm just gonna rearrange the fields so that it's a lot better to read later on. Since we're dealing with sales closed, I'm going to select a filter using the one field, which should be 2, meaning that particular opportunity should already have been won. So click import and let's wait for the data to load. Okay, there we go. Let's close this for now. Later on, let's take a look at that. One thing that we'd like to ensure here that is checked is this one. So basically, it's this one is for us to autofill whatever formulas that we will be including later on in here. So it is checked by default. So let's leave it as is. Okay, so going back to the requirements, we'd like to show by the sales by period, meaning the month and the year. We have a lot of dates over here within the same months and years, but it will be very hard for us to project it in a chart. So we'll go ahead and create a formula to just show the month and year. So I'm going to use the text function to change the appearance or the format of this close date. So there we go. Next is that we will want to include a filter for year, month, and month. So let's also add that one, year and month. So in here, I'm going to make use of the year function to extract the year from the close date. Then the month function, or rather text function rather, to show the spelled out month over here. Then one essential thing that we'll be using later on is the month number. So let's just call it as is. In here, I'm just going to use the month function to get the month number of the close date. I'll be selecting this one, then double click this bottom right circle here to apply it across our different data. One best practice that we usually do is to highlight these formula fields with a separate color so that we can discern what was imported through our coefficient add-on and what is being computed via different formulas. Okay, so far we've made use of functions that are simple and easy to understand. Next is we're going to build now the data reference of our charts. So this alone is we cannot really create good charts for this alone. So let's go ahead and make use of what we call the pivot table. I'm going to select everything until below. So when making use of pivot tables, we want to make sure we add several rows, empty rows down below. Okay, so for now, I'm going to select until row 1000. Oops, sorry. So basically for this exercise, let's make use instead of this prepared data over here. It's the same thing. So we have the month year, month number and month year, but we just modified it a bit so that it is more suitable for our demonstration. So again, I'm going to select everything. Now the reason why we want to select several rows of data down below is that in case we only select until the current row, like what we're doing right now, the moment that this import refreshes and it adds new data in here, our pivot table cannot really automatically capture those data. So as a good practice, we select all our data and we select more empty rows down below. So in here, I actually added rows until 50,000 so that we are really sure that even if several months have passed, we still have enough rows of data that covers the new future closed won opportunities. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to insert and pivot table. So this is our data range. I'd like to include this pivot table in an existing sheet in the dashboard. Another practice that we do when building dashboards is that we separate to the right the reference data that we're using. So as you can see over here, I've already created a border in column J, so that meaning to say all that the data that are in the right are all reference data, while all the data that are in the left will be the dashboard that will be seen by our user. So in here, I'm going to select cell in to the right so that we can include our pivot table here. Okay, there we go. So currently it's currently empty. Now again, let's go back to the requirements. So the first thing that we'd like to build is the chart showing sales by period. So in this chart, I'm going to go ahead and drag the period, basically the month and year. So in here we can see a couple of problems. First is that there is this grand total here. We don't want that. So in all the pivot tables that we'll be building, we will be unchecking the show totals checkbox. There we go. Next problem is that there are empty fields in our data. These empty fields are actually the blank rows that we've included down below for these ones over here. So of course, we don't want to show that in our chart. So what we're going to do is to add this opportunity in here. Then in the filter, we just like to show data that wherein the opportunity is not empty. Okay? So once you apply that, notice that the blank data over there is no longer showing up. The next major problem that we want to address is how the data is sorted. So if you can see in here, they are not actually arranged chronologically, but they are arranged alphabetically because the pivot table cannot really discern that this supposedly should be dates. Instead, it's treating them as simple alphanumeric values. Okay, so that is where our year and month number comes in because using the year just on top of our rows of our month year, let's uncheck this one. We can now order by ascending manner via the year. So in here we've sorted them by year, but still they are not within each of the years. They are not still arranged properly. That's the reason why we drag and drop the month number in between the two fields. So in here it's sorted automatically and chronologically. So that should fix now the improper sorting of our period over here. Okay. Next thing we'd like to show is the amount. So let's drag that one under the values field. Important thing to show to note is that we'd want to immediately format this in the proper currency. So that's it. Let's just hide the different decimals over there, and I guess we're good. So this is the beauty of a pivot table. Basically, we do not necessarily need to come up with complex formulas using query, filter, and other such functions. We simply make use of this pivot table over here and drag and drop different fields to build our data source. So now that our data source is in here, let's go ahead and create the first chart uh, that we'd like to do. Basically, this chart that shows the sales by period. So let me just switch that over here. Oops. Okay. So, all right. So let's select the data here. So same thing with how we selected the data source of the pivot table earlier. We want to add several lines of data that are empty so that in case 2024 comes in, this data automatically adds new rows, or rather this table automatically adds new rows of data down below over here. So by selecting it just like this, we are ensuring that when we create the chart, or insert the chart, we are ensuring that we have everything covered until below. Sometimes though, it doesn't really add properly, so maybe you can just add like 1000 in the data range of our chart. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to reposition this somewhere over here and drag it like that. Okay. When building these charts, we'd like to just keep it clean and simple. So of course we know that this is already the sum of amount. We don't need this label anymore, and even this one. Then we want to have a more descriptive what do you call this? A title. So let's just say sales by month and year. There we go. Later on we can design format our data so that it should look a lot better. But for now, we'll leave this as is. So Next is we'd like to create the sales by owner, or rather the opportunity owner. So again, we'll make use of another pivot table, but let me just go ahead and copy this existing one, then paste it over here. Oops. I think that messed up things. Maybe we can just do the same thing that we did. So select everything in here. Pivot table, existing sheet. Then select our cell over here, then create. There we go. It's currently showing ref, but we'll fix that later on. So in here, we'd like to add the first name as our row. So again, remove the show totals. Then we'd like to ensure that the opportunity ID is, or rather, we only show the items wherein the opportunity is, not empty. There we go. So that's good. And next, we'd like to include the amount. Okay, so we have the amount over here. Notice that the amounts, though, are not sorted properly. And when users usually look at the dashboard, they'd want to automatically see who has the highest closed won sales. So what we can do here is to arrange the first name through the sum of amounts. So we'll sort it in a descending order. So I guess that's good. Now the next thing to do is again select our data, going down, go to insert, then chart. There we go. So just a quick check. It's just getting until row 18, so we can just add until row 1000 over there. Okay. Let us just paste it over here. Oops, there we go. I'm going to just delete this one. Then this is more of just arranging things. Then making it big. Cleaning it for a bit. So removing these labels over here. And I guess it's a lot better if, for instance, we rearrange them. Wherein our first chart would be the sales by opportunity owner. Opportunity owner. There we go. So let's go ahead and put that over here. Then put it this one here. So it would depend on the I guess user's requirement on particularly what chart or table or metrics they would like to see at the top. So usually the ones at the top are those that are more of a priority. Okay, so we already have this chart showing sales by period and by owner. Next is we'd like to include several filters. The great thing with pivot tables is that we can manipulate this via a slicer. So let's just add this one. Slicers are basically drop down objects. So if in here we'll want to ensure that the data range is the same as the data range of our reference data over here. So since they are linked in the opportunity tab. We select this one, A22, I1 50,000, then click OK. All right. Okay, so next thing we'd like to do here is select the appropriate filter. So part of our requirement is to have filters that include the year, the month, and the owner. So we will just duplicate this one. Select month, then another one, wherein this one is for the owner or the first name. So we can change the title of the slicer over here. You can as well change the color. In here, our company branding makes use of this particular color. So we'll select that one. There we go. So what these slicers do is that they manipulate this different reference data over here, which in turn manipulates the charts that are linked to this reference data. So for instance, we only want to see data um, that are within 2023, the current year. So as we can see, it already just shows us the data of 2023. So even the amounts here should be of within the value of 2023. If you only want to show, for example, the values in July, or rather, yeah, July, then press OK. Then this is about it. Okay, so let's just remove that for now, or rather select all. Then in here, maybe we just want to see the values of Evelyn. So there we go. It only shows the single bar here for Evelyn. In here, it shows the different closed one values of Evelyn by the different periods. Okay, so that's how the different filters that we have work. So for now, let's have it filtered by the current year. Okay. The good thing with these filters that is missing with the traditional drop-down filters is that we can in fact select several names. So if we just want to show the values of Evelyn, Harold, and Irene, we can just do it like that one. So this one is especially good when we'd like to compare within a particular team, for example, or yeah. Okay. In here we did include I'm just going to drag it over here for now. So we did include a oops, let me just copy that here, did it here. We did mention that we just need two charts, the sales by period and sales by owner, but I guess we can include another pivot table just to show maybe the top 20 data. So let's create another pivot table over here. I'm just going to copy that one and put it here. Then in here, let us show the opportunity ID, the name of the opportunity. Okay, so again, let's remove this show totals. Otherwise, it would show funny the table that we're trying to project. There we go. Of course, we'd like to also show the close date, the time when this one was closed. So let's put it, oh, there we go. So let's put it just below the first name. And lastly is we have the amount and the values. Now, we want to show the top 20 closed won opportunities. So to do that, of course, we'd like to order by, or rather sort by amount in descending order. So we'll go in the opportunity, select the sum of amount, then um, select descending order. Okay. If you can see, we only are showing the top 20 items and the others are actually hidden. So if you take a note, if you take notice in here, I've already hidden the other rows down below. But if you are to just unhide it, it should show everything from our opportunity tab. So for us to just show the top 20, we can in fact select from the 21st line until down, then just hide. And that should show the data, the top 20 data that we only want. There you go. The good thing also with pivot table is that we can in fact rename this one to simply amount, for instance, and it should automatically rename. Okay, so I guess that's actually how we create the data, or rather the different visualizations that we like. Of course, we want to add certain elements as well, like our logo, the title of the dashboard, different icons, and so on. So I've actually done that already over here. So this is the um, end end goal of the, I guess, the end goal of what we'd like to see. So we already have our title, our logo, the different icons that we can click to, for example, open the um, sidebar, or rather refresh our data over here. So so that we don't need to go to the extensions anymore. And I guess we're ready to present it to the management, for instance. So for the ones in the right, I'm going to select all of them. And I'm actually going to hide them because the users do not really need to show, or rather see, this data over here. There you go. So this is about it, our final dashboard. Now notice that we also want to update our opportunity data daily. So to do that, I'm just going to open the sidebar over here. Then notice that we have this refresh schedule. So I'm going to turn that on. And then it's already set to daily. I'm just going to select a more appropriate time. Usually I select it around 4 a.m. so that it updates by this time, and by the time I open the file, it is already refreshed. Okay. Another requirement that we have is showing creating alerts that send a preview of our dashboard to a selected Slack channel. So let's just save this one. There we go. And go back and click on automations. I'm going to select daily screenshot. I'm going to this dashboard over here. So I'm going to select the entire dashboard sheet. So next, frequency is daily. I'd like to see this, for instance, 8 a.m. when I enter the office. Then I'd like to also show this in the, let's say, the template. Oops. Sorry about that. So I can set it over email. But I can also select a particular Slack channel where I'd like to see this snapshot. There we go. So next, I'm going to name this as Salesforce Sales Dashboard. Then, just to check, I'm going to send a preview. Okay, and I guess that's about it. I'm going to add the alert. So I guess that's everything that we do to have a simple Salesforce dashboard uh, automation report. Thank you.